It's my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because the visions of me left it seems while I was sleeping. A vision that was planted in me, still within the sound of silence.
Let's get the technicals out of the way. Gears of War 4, 1080p, 30 FPS unless you're playing the multiplayer. Multiplayer versus mode anyway, runs in 60 FPS. Let me just review the multiplayer right here, right now. Multiplayer's alright, it had some fun. It's nothing special though, and it seems like it's kind of just Nasher fest. Seems like everything but the Nasher is totally and utterly useless. But it was functional, you know, it was okay. Whereas the Horde mode was super boring. I am so unimpressed by Horde mode in this game. It's wave defense. Whoop-de-f***ing-do. All you can do is set up turrets and barbed wire. There are no mechanics or depth to that whatsoever. That's the Horde mode online. That also runs at 30 FPS, but the campaign consistently uses Horde mode for some of its missions, and that gets awful boring too, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. The graphics of Gears of War 4 are good. They're not great, but they're good. They're solid. The lighting is very pretty, especially it's got this kind of blue glow from the cog armor and the flashlights on the Lancers. That looks good. A lot of the vegetation moves in the wind. The environments are nothing special, but the character models are pretty good. Especially in the cutscenes. The cutscenes, everybody's got raindrops on them, and those look good. The in-engine cutscenes look better than, like, the CGI opening cinematic, which just looks abysmal. I don't know what was going on there. The only downside to that is that they run at kind of a low frame rate. It's gotta be 20, 25 frames per second. There's a bit of a stutter for the cutscenes. And it was like, alright, what the hell? But the look of the game overall is very good. The HUD is super clean. You have nothing on screen unless you're actually shooting people, and then it's just the ammo count, and it tells you there's no health bar. It tells you if you're dying by the gear symbol slowly thickening up on screen. It's very cleverly done too, because you can see the guns that you have on your back for left and right, and so you don't have to like show us where the guns are. And if you're walking between firefights through the environment, it will fade away, and it will let you appreciate the graphics, which are very pretty. Like I said, I like the look of it. There's a lot more green and vegetation, I feel like, in Gears of War 4 than in previous titles. So it is a good looking game. Big downsides, technical-wise, are that I had a super hard crash once. Like, it froze, and then it would, like, spam my speakers with the stutter sound, and then it would cut out the whole Xbox powered off. Also, there is an 11 gigabyte update. 11 gigabytes of update. That is ass. Obviously, you have a little bit of an update to like get everything like online ready and all that. That's fine, but 11 gig is too much. Now, I played the majority of the game on split screen, and I can say I get why developers are dropping it, because it looks bad. Now, there isn't really any way around it. It's split screen. If you want to fit two perspectives on one 1080p screen, you're getting 540p a person, and that looks bad, man. They also chop the black bars off on the side, as you can see. I mean, you can't really blame them. There's no way around it. The only way around it I can think of is that, like, having two monitors separately hooked up, but then the poor Xbox One has to output the same game twice on the same amount of hardware, and that's just unrealistic. That's just the negative of split screen. That's really got nothing to do with the game. Gameplay-wise, Gears of War was like the first big third-person shooter that kind of like revolutionized this and like set a cover system that was standard, that people copied and then stopped copying for some reason. It's got a one-button cover system. It is very easy to pick up. It is very easy to do. One button for getting in cover, moving left and right across cover, and for vaulting over cover. It works very well. The one downside to the cover system is, I'd say, if you're backing up behind and there's cover behind you, you have to turn around to vault over it. You can't like vault over backwards, so that results in some clunky turning. Other than that, though, the cover system works pretty well. The movement and the aiming is very smooth, very solid, and it is pathetic how uncommon that is in third-person shooters these days. You got your super essential thing in this game is nailed. The game controls well. If you take cover opposite an enemy, you can press X and like drag them over and then kill them, and that's cool. Or you can press B and hop over. So there's some fun ways to interact with the cover and use it in other ways, and you can shoot it. Some of the cover is destructible, so you can shoot it away, and there's other things where, like, when there's big wind flares, which happen a lot, game reuses the whole wind flare lightning thing, like, all the damn time. But when that happens, you can like blow stuff to knock people out of the way, and that looks cool. Initially, I was bothered by roadie running having to hold down A to sprint until I realized I could take my thumb off the left stick just to use it to steer. So while you're roadie running, you can reload and you can switch weapons. I just wish it was a little more sensitive because like the turning radius is kind of slow, so it's kind of hard to like weave between cover. The other downside being you can't look in different directions while you're moving because you're holding down A unless you want to use your left hand to move the stick. So it's not perfect, but I see why they did it. Chainsawing, as fun and cool as chainsawing and bayonet charging people are with the Lancer and the Retro Lancer, it is very clunky. It's like hold down B, and then there's a wind up, and then you have to like move around and face somebody and like get within a certain range. And that is incredibly difficult to do. If a locust comes up, jumps over my cover, and gets within melee range of me, he will hit me and knock me down before I'm able to chainsaw him, and that's stupid. If you're swapping weapons and the weapon you're swapping has no ammo in it, it will just disappear, so if you want to come back and use it later after you find ammo, that's annoying. You can't give your squad commands, which is a baffling omission because it was in the older games, and there's this one big mission where it's like hold this fort for a little while, but it's like upstairs, and everybody wants to like take upstairs because there's a big turret, and then they come through downstairs and behind, but like I found it was much easier to just defend it on the ground, but you can't tell your squad mates to come down with you. Even if your squad mates go down and there's no one to revive them, you will die, you'll lose. So if it was me and my friend playing split screen, Marcus was captured, so it was just the three of us, and if Dell went down upstairs, we had to go up and get him, so that was dumb. And at that point, your squad mate becomes a hindrance rather than an extra gun helping out in the fight. The new weapons in this game suck. The buzzkill, it's a heavy weapon. You have to like deploy it, and it's a hold down. It's like a minigun. It's got a spin up, and then it starts spitting out of a bunch of them. And they don't really do a good job of bouncing around like it showed in the trailer, especially since half the time it gives you the buzzkill is when you're outside and there's a crazy wind flare going on. So the things will go like up and to the left. Crazy, so you're trying to like lead them off and aim down and to the right, and it doesn't work at all. And even when there isn't a wind flare, sometimes they just don't go where you aim them. The drop shot too, it's very unclear at first how to use the drop shot. It's like hold down right trigger as a probe or drone moves across the field, and then when you release it, it'll explode. So I didn't realize that at first, and it did a crappy job of telling me that, so I was just wasting all these drop shot shots. I'm like, why isn't it going all the way I want to? It's because you have to hold it down. And while you're holding it down, you're above cover, so thanks for that. So those are the heavy weapons, and those both suck. And the new, like, regular weapons are basically just, you know, they're just, like, robot, different aesthetic, different faction versions of an assault rifle, a shotgun, and a sniper rifle, so they don't do anything good with that either. That's a theme you're gonna see throughout this game, is a very lazy lack of innovation, and just, it sticks to the old formula way too much. It does nothing new with this game. And gameplay-wise, the biggest gripe I have are the checkpoints, because what is a checkpoint these days? Oh my god. You'll be doing wave after wave after wave in a horde mode, and if you die, it'll restart you all the way back to the beginning. The hell with that. And you see that a lot. You see that very frequently, where there'll be a couple waves of regular bad guys, and then a boss, and if the boss kills you, you gotta do the regular waves again. And it's not even just that. It's like, where the checkpoint is, happens always like before a cutscene. So there's a couple parts where like the checkpoint is immediately before we gotta climb up 2 or 3 sets of ladders, and then that's when you start fighting. And like, you couldn't have just placed the checkpoint in front of that? It's like, this is AAA game development, and you guys couldn't do that with a studio full of hundreds of people? Really? And that makes you groan and roll your eyes so much, so every time you die, you're redoing all these stupid, unnecessary steps. Hearing the same 3 lines of dialogue and watching the same 5-second cutscene again. The mission design in general. I played the game on hardcore, and it gets very repetitive. It is, for the most part, throw you in a place, send wave after wave after wave, and then you move on. There is one mission where it's like you move through an area as they send enemies at you, so you're like always moving. When it first sends the little juveniles at you, the mission's Almost Midnight, I think it's called. That was awesome. That was a good mission. That was the first one where it was a bunch of little gooey enemies that would go down in 2 or 3 shots. in a small enclosed environment. I feel like the Gears of War combat system works better in a claustrophobic environment, and I feel like that's more fun than just this big open battlefield full of all these people really far away. And the enemies, especially the bosses, get very bullet spongy. But thankfully the game gives you plenty of ammo, and you can hold several clips and just no stupid arbitrary restrictions on that front. The game reuses that same mission design throughout the entire game, and it missed the opportunity to throw anything creative at it whatsoever. How about a mission where it's like pitch black because you're underground or it's night or something, and all you can see of the screen is the circle of the flashlight on the Lancer, so like you don't know where enemies are in a claustrophobic environment. That could be cool, that could be awesome. So then it's like, oh crap, I don't know where people are, so you see somebody and you freak out and you start shooting a bunch of bullets. And it reuses the same old boss battle with the Snatcher and the Pouncers again and again and again until the end of the game, where it gives you like a couple bosses like all at once. The Mech Walker mission was another mission that was fun. It looked like the gimmicky vehicle mission in the trailer. It wasn't. It was fun because they're like actual player. They're robots, so they're like taking cover behind buildings and you control them like you do players, so those were cool. But this game has Uncharted 4 syndrome of the entire game is one objective, and it lasts the whole game. So at the beginning of the game, the Snatchers come and they kidnap Katie's mom or Ray's mom or whatever her damn name was, and she's Jin. So she's gone, and you're like, oh no, we gotta get her back. I wonder what'll happen after we get her back. I'll tell you what, the game ends. The entirety of Act 3 and Act 4 are just you moving to one place. The game takes what little story it has and stretches it so thin. It's like, oh, we gotta go get Marcus. Alright, Marcus, thanks for palling around with us. Oh no, Marcus got kidnapped. Now we gotta go get him. Oh, now, good, you're back. Now help us go find Jim's mom. There's no story really at all. The entirety of the story essentially amounts to, the Locusts are back. Let's go get him. Shit, yeah. It takes no chances. It does nothing new whatsoever. The new characters too suck. They're awful. Dell is generic, quippy black best friend, and the dialogue is so immature.
Seriously? You're terrible at rock, paper, scissors.
How can someone be terrible at rock, paper, scissors?
Easily, because you always pick paper.
Do I?
Let's do it.
Damn it.
But if it survives, and most don't, it finds a way to change. The little larva becomes a chrysalis. Inside, it destroys and rebuilds itself, changing its color, its shape. It gets wings, claws. It slashes its way out of its cage, and then it's new and beautiful.
Okay, I don't know about you, but I learned that in, like, kindergarten. There are moments of good jokes, of good quips.
Come in! Why would you say that?
But for the most part, it's like the main character, too. He's got blonde hair. He's the most basic, generic looking. He kind of looks like Nathan Drake, minus the stubble, on steroids. And his girlfriend, too. There's one cutscene where it hints at something with him and his girlfriend, but they take it nowhere. And it's like, oh, hey, are you okay? They could have some sweet romance banter. I don't even know if they are a girlfriend, boyfriend, or if Marcus was just joking about that. Marcus is, once again, the best part of the game, because he's the grizzled, bearded old dude, and like, yeah, Marcus.
Dad, this wind flare's not letting up. We gotta move.
No, we hunkered down here. Wait it out.
But isn't this building a little wooden?
It'll hold.
Are you sure about that?
It'll hold. Shit.
Even Marcus becomes reduced to, like, oh, the stuff they come across is like, back in my day when we were fighting the Swarm, these things got the job done. He becomes war story spouting Marcus. And the only good relationship is between Marcus and his son, because they clearly have some bitterness going on there.
Dad, we need your help.
I'm all done helping you.
Dad, you should look at this.
No, you look. I warned you not to join the COG. What did you do?
Dad.
I told you, don't go, outsider. The COG will hunt you down. Again, what did you do?
Just shut up and look.
Shit.
I want to see more of his relationship with his sons. Like, they do nothing with that. At the beginning of the game, it's all like, oh, they hate each other, and that disappears halfway through the game. It's like the one good relationship this game tried to play with, it tossed out. So you know that trailer, knowing me, I'm probably going to use it as my intro, like the trailer that's all emotional with Marcus and his family, and he's carrying a tree like the Hulk, and then it switches to his son grown up and fighting, and it's at night, and it's all emotional, and that is nothing like the game. Gears of War always does that, you know, with Mad World. With the Gears of War is some of the most emotionally flat and immature games I think I've ever come across. But their trailers are always all cool because Microsoft knows how to advertise and not much else. It's essentially the same game, really pretty much just recycled with better graphics and a couple different people who aren't even as interesting as Barrett or Marcus or anybody. This game takes no risks whatsoever. This game does virtually nothing new. And there are parts of the game that get really boring and feel like such a slog to push yourself through. It's like Gears of War 4 I thought was pretty disappointing. On a gameplay level, it is functional, the controls are good, the graphics are good, but the mission design gets really repetitive and it feels kind of boring and it's hard to push yourself through, and the story is not a reward or anything worth pushing yourself through the game for. So I would say Gears of War 4 is looking at about a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10?
I gotta say, the whole Judgment was way better. Even if it was a step down from Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, at least it felt like its own game, like it's doing something instead of rehashing the same old crap from the original trilogy. Rehash. I guess we ran out of good ideas 3 years ago, everybody. Alright, so can you believe they've got Dell, they've got JD, and they've got Kate, so that's what her name was, Kate, okay? But no bearded Marcus? Like, really?